Proper Akida, Quran and Sunnah, Quran and Sunnah, Minhaj and Akida, actions speak louder than words, than words.
Sunnah following kids, come with me.
Gotta work hard to get to heaven. Treat the people good like the prophet would. Proper Akida, Quran and Sunnah, Quran and Sunnah, Minhaj and Akida, actions speak louder than words, than words.
Alhamdulillah, wa salat wa salam ala wa Rasulullah. I'd like to welcome everybody to our Sunnah Followers Kids program. And even though this is our Sunnah Followers Kids program, that does not mean that the adults cannot participate. I encourage all the adults to participate in this class, especially my new shahadas. Why? Because we're focusing on Aqidah. We're focusing on the belief system here. And Islam appeals to anyone who has the common sense and who's at the age of understanding. Our Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, teaches us that the age of understanding is 6 years old. 6 or 7 years old. That's the age of understanding. And once a child reaches, or once a human reaches that age, that's when you as parents, that's when it's incumbent upon us to start to nourish the fitra, to start to teach that person about what it means to believe in Allah and what their purpose in life is. So this class is not just for the children, it's for the adults too. And the book that we're using in this class is not a children's book. It's an adult book, but it just goes to show how even the children can grasp Islam. It should serve as a reinforcement to all of us as Muslim adults that we are upon the correct way of life, because Islam appeals to the heart. Islam appeals to the fitra. Islam appeals to the common sense and all of that. Okay, we don't need science to rationalize anything for us. Allah, has perfected this religion for us. Allah has put us here on this earth to worship him and to find our way back to him. And he didn't do it just tell us go for it. No, he gave us the laws, the rules, the guidelines to abide by to help us in our journey back to him. So the book that we're using in this class, we're using two books. We're using the book written by Brother Daryl Abdullah Kirk entitled Dunya. That book can be purchased on Amazon for $13. And also, we're going to be going over the character of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is good, for all the Muslims to know about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we're going to talk about how he looked, his appearance. Then we're going to talk about his character, his mannerisms, how he handled himself in situations of trial, situations of test. And I want every Muslim on planet Earth listening to me to understand something that's very important, because we are a weak nation now. The Muslims today are no way strong like they used to be. We're weak. War has been happening since the beginning of time. Allah sends war. He sent wars. Every prophet that Allah sent had to encounter some type of war. The Prophet Muhammad, he spent his whole mission, his whole life till his end in war. So did the companions. Okay? So we're going to learn how he and the companions and the ones that came after them and after them, how they handled themselves when faced with the trials of life. Because the Muslims today are not handling themselves. The Muslims today are weak. We've adopted the behavior, the attitude, the appearance of the non-believers. So we're going to focus on the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this class, and we're using a new book. The book, and I got it in the ticker. Please pay attention, guys, to the ticker tape that's there on the screen. For those of you who are watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Telegram, please look at the tickler, because that ticker, I have, first of all, we need donations. Oh my God, I meant to tell everybody, this is the beginning of the month. We only got $200 in our account, because y'all know the monthly bills come out. Please, guys, we need your donations. It takes $2,000 a month to run this website, and that's considered cheap because other people's websites are like $10,000. This is $2,000 a month, and we're a nonprofit organization. Please support us, guys. Please support us. Please support us. So that ticker tells you how to donate. And also, I have the books to purchase. For this class, you need to go to Amazon, and all the books can be bought on Amazon. So you get them in 3 days. You don't have to deal with none of that other stuff. You need to go to Amazon and buy the book Dunya by Brother Daryl Abdullah Kirk. It's only $13. And also the new book for this class about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is called He Was. I repeat, He Was, and it's in this ticker. And that book is written by Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli. May Allah bless him. May Allah forgive him of his sins. For those of you who don't know who Muhammad Saeed Atli is, all I can say is, where have you been? Because Islam, he was responsible, and he doesn't like to hear this because he doesn't like to be praised. But hey, compliments are good. That's a sign that Allah loves you. He was the one responsible, the first one responsible for bringing Islam in its truthfulness to America. And I ain't talking about these other Dawah brothers. No, he was here long before them. He came right after Malcolm X. After Malcolm X made his Hajj. Oh yeah. So if you don't know who Muhammad Saeed Atli is, guys, and it really kind of behooves me when I look at him, because he's an elderly man now. We're all old. I'm old too. He's older than me. I'm 63. He's older than me. Okay. When I see that he travels to lectures, he only does lectures with Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. And when I see the people ask about him, it kind of makes me sad. I'm like, why is it that these young brothers who call themselves the Dawah team, they don't know about Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli? That's kind of sad. He's been in America longer than all these other brothers, longer than all of them. He's been here since the 70s. I ain't talking no 80s and 90s and 2000s when the renegades started coming here, escaping their countries because they were kicked out of their countries and stuff. No, he was here in the 70s. All right. So, it's sad. But anyway, he's written a lot of books. And his books are the ones I use here along with Sheikh Kareem's. And go to Amazon. I know now you can go to Amazon and order a lot of Sheikh Atli's books. He's finally got a secretary that puts them on Amazon. This book is entitled He Was. And it's only $7? The book is only $7. Come on, guys. What is $7? To learn about your Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, authentic hadiths about him. And also, for those of you who live out of America, there's a Kindle. You can also buy the Kindle form. See how Sheikh Atli, he's all about pleasing Allah. He's not trying to make money. He does not try to make money off of anyone. You know, just like me, he's dedicated his life to serving Allah the same way I have. And very few Muslims today have done that because we're into the dawah brother age. The celebrity. He ain't no celebrity, just like I ain't no celebrity. What we do is for Allah alone, not for money. So please, guys, get this new book off of Amazon. It's entitled He Was by Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atlee. It'll be a benefit. It should be a part of every Muslim's library. Don't tell me you can't afford $7. And the Kindle book ain't but $2. All right. And so tonight, what I'm going to do, Ramadan is around the corner. Yeah, I was around too. Yeah. I grew up in the 60s. I was born in the 60s. I've been Muslim all my life, always upon Siratul Mustaqim. I ain't never been a part of no Sufi, Shiite, Elijah, Muhammad. I ain't from none of that garbage either. But like I say, the people of the truth, we ain't famous. We're infamous, but we're not famous. You know, y'all make famous these celebrity brothers that ain't about nothing but fitna. That's leading y'all down a crooked street to the hellfire. The people that matter, you don't know nothing about them. And that's sad. And the true scholars, they slandering. Oh yeah, the true scholars of the religion who sacrificed everything. Like all my teachers, they slandering my teachers as we speak now. Who are the true scholars who ain't here no more, who died, who are not here to even defend themselves. Yeah, this is why Allah has sent this war. The war against Islam. This ain't the war against Gaza. Don't get it twisted. And it didn't start with Gaza. It started back with the Bush regime. Because that's when the Muslims started acting stupid. That's when we deviated away from the true Islam back then. It started with that Afghanistan and all of that stuff, and that Saddam Hussein and the war against Kuwait, all of that crap. Oh yeah, this war's been going on. It ain't never stopped. It went all through Africa. Africa ain't had a break yet in their genocide, but we don't hear about it. All we hear about is Gaza today. You know, but the Muslims have been suffering in the Muslim world ever since the Bush regime. Some of them deserve it. Oh yeah, don't get it twisted. Allah sends war. A lot of those people deserve what's happening to them. But for the believers, we make dua. There are some believers who are not deserving, but they can handle it because they're getting a reward better than all of this. But don't get it twisted. This war is from Allah, and it's been going on. And it's going to spread to America, to United Kingdom, to Australia, to all of us, especially with the people that's in government today. Y'all can't see what's happening. Y'all can't see the United Nations coming together, those 80 countries to sign against all these crazy Muslims. Y'all don't see it? Not all Muslims are good. Don't get it twisted. Most of us are bad. And that's the reality. That's why Allah sends war. Don't get it twisted. All right. Okay. So, yeah, let's get started. Tonight, what I'm going to do, because for this class, because Ramadan is in a couple of weeks, one of the reasons why Allah has sent this war, Israel didn't send it, and it didn't just start. It's been going on since that 9/11 garbage. Oh yeah, 9/11. But anyway, let's get it. One of the reasons why Allah has sent all this war to the Muslim lands, including us Muslims here in America, with the fires and earthquakes and all of that calamities, Allah says whenever we deviate away from the true Islam, there will be consequences. Whenever we as a nation deviate away from his laws, his commands, and nobody is speaking out to stop it, there will be repercussions. There will be calamities sent by him. So this has been going on. And one of the things that we've done is, like the prophet said, we've become so in love with the life of this world, this dunya, this world. That's what dunya means. That's the book we're studying from in this class. Dunya, this world. We've become so caught up with the glamour, the money, the fame, and all of that of this world. And we become remiss in our obligations to Allah. We don't pray our prayers like we're supposed to. Oh yeah, you guys watch my Q&A show every Friday, right? Look at the questions I get. I get questions every Friday, at least one question. Sister Laila, can I not pray my prayers until I get home from work? Sister Laila, can I not make salat because I got someplace to go? See how we become remiss in our obligations. We put the love of this world before our love for Allah, and we use this world as an excuse to not fulfill our obligations to Allah. So that's why Allah has sent all this war, fire, earthquakes, tidal waves, and calamity. And it's going to get worse. Okay? This dunya. We use this dunya as an excuse to not fulfill our obligations. And that's going to be our topic for today in this class. Let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen so everyone can see. And I want the kids to take screenshots. And I hope I got moderators in that room, because I'm not going to be able to watch what's going on in there in case somebody come in getting on that mic in the midst of my lecture. So I hope y'all keep y'all eyes on that Zoom room. And because, you know, we got the old ladies that wake up this time of day and turn on their mic with the TV and all that. Okay, so it's the truth. And by the way, guys, this is the book, Dunya. Can y'all see it? Let me make it bigger. There we go. That's a picture of the book. And that's Brother Daryl Abdullah Kirk. He's the one that wrote the book. He's one of my students. He converted to Islam over 20-some years ago. And guess who he gave him his shahada? He got his shahada from my teacher, Abu Atayib. He's part of Abu Atayib's community. And when Abu Atayib, my teacher, who is a scholar, this ulama, gave him shahada, he told him, go to my best student, Laila Nasheeba, and learn from her. Okay, so he's been learning, coming here ever since, and been studying here, and he's written several books. Okay, and I'm using his books too. The Sacred Bonds of Marriage for the marriage class, those are his books that we're using, and I'm using his books in this class here. This is Dunya. It's only $13. That's how it looks. And his name is Daryl Abdullah Kirk. Look for it on Amazon. So tonight what we're going to do is speak about the importance of meeting our religious obligations. Why has Allah sent the war? Why has Allah sent calamities to the Muslims' lands and to the Muslims everywhere? Well, he told us when we fail to fulfill the obligations, because we put this dunya ahead of Allah, expect for him to send the calamities to us. So how important is it to meet our religious obligations? Well, let's take a look at it. And I want everybody to remember the example for all of us as Muslims is supposed to be the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? He's the example that Allah sent for all mankind and jinn to follow. There's nothing that we are encountering in our personal lives that the prophet didn't encounter, and his companions. They are supposed to be the dawah brothers. That's the dawah team. Instead of y'all looking for celebrities of today, because there are no celebrities today. The celebrities for the Muslim are the Prophet Muhammad and his companions, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Aisha, Salama, Atiyah, those original companions. That's the Dawah, brother and sisters. That's the Dawah team. Okay? So, as Muslims, we know that the family is everything, because again, it's the job of the parents to nurture the heart of the kids. It's the job of the parents to raise their children, reinforcing their purpose in life to them. But again, we've gotten away from that, because we're all caught up in working. We got women working. Everybody wants to get a job and work and get a career and have the big house, the fancy car, the Kardashian lifestyle. We've deviated away from the Abdullah lifestyle. And instead, we've taken on the Kardashian lifestyle. Well, guess what? It is our duty as Muslims to put Allah first and foremost. And it is our duty to defend the pillars of Islam, because those pillars of Islam serve as the basis, for how we carry out our commitments to Allah. And those pillars, what are the 5 pillars of Islam? Well, number 1, when you declare La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, not only are you declaring that the only one worthy of worship is Allah, but you're also declaring allegiance to him, allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad, allegiance to the Quran, allegiance to the Muslims, allegiance to Islam. That's why we don't participate in non-Muslim holidays. Why is it I don't celebrate Valentine's Day? Why is it I don't celebrate Hanukkah? Why is it I don't celebrate Christmas, birthdays? Because my allegiance is not to anything except the religion of Islam. I have no allegiance to Valentine's Day. I have no allegiance to Christmas. Why would I celebrate a birthday? A birthday is an action of worship. And as Muslims, we know all actions of worship are for Allah alone. That's it. We don't worship our children. We don't worship ourselves. We don't worship anyone but Allah. That's the Shahada. So the first testimony of Islam is to have that allegiance to what you claim to believe in. Okay? And then after that, we have to establish the regular prayers. What does that mean? Allah has enjoined 5 prayers upon us, and he spaced them out during different times of the day. Allah says every prayer has its fixed time. Why did Allah fix the time of Dhuhr to be whatever it is, and Asr to be whatever it is? Because again, he doesn't want us to get too caught up in the life of this world. He doesn't want you to get so caught up in your job that you forget about him. So you have to break away from your job for 5 minutes to go make your prayer. He doesn't want you to get so caught up in the fame of the world, the glamour of this world. So that's why each prayer has a fixed time. And that's why we don't pray it when we get home. Then you guys hear me answering that question all the time, because every Friday in my Q&A show, I get somebody saying, can I pray all my prayers at home because I work? No, just like you take a 5-minute break to go use the bathroom, take a 5-minute break to go find a corner to pray to your Lord. So that's the second pillar. And then the third pillar of Islam is what's getting ready to happen, inshallah, in 2 weeks, fasting during the month of Ramadan. These are the days in which we put Allah over our desires. We put Allah over the things we love the most and remember him from Fajr until Maghrib. All we have to do, we just fast from Fajr till Maghrib. That's not a long time, maybe 8 hours. You know, we don't do that. We're not in the summertime. You know, fasting will go so quick. SubhanAllah. If you're a person like me, I don't even wake up to 10, 11 o'clock in the afternoon, 12. So, hey, breaking fast at 6. Well, what's that? 6 hours? So, you know, that's the third pillar of Islam is to fast during the month of Ramadan, because it's all about what have you done for Allah lately? What sacrifices are you willing to make for Allah? You want Allah to help you. You want Allah to find you a husband. You want Allah to approve your acceptance into college. You want Allah to help you to get that job. Well, what are you willing to sacrifice for him? That's what Ramadan is all about. And then the fifth pillar, or the last pillar, you know, of Islam is making Hajj. And out of Allah's mercy, Allah told us, you don't have to worry about making Hajj until you meet the criteria. And the criteria is you got to have the money, because Hajj is not for the poor. It's for the well-off, to be honest. And if you're a woman, you have to have a mahram to take you. If you don't meet the criteria, guess what? Allah doesn't even hold you accountable. So that's how merciful Allah is. So those are the 5 pillars. Those are the pillars of Islam that Allah commands us to do, and many of us can't even do them. Ramadan is in 2 weeks, and I'm already getting emails from many Muslim women who ain't even made up their days from last year. And I've been telling you guys all year to make up your Ramadan fast. I'm also getting emails from brothers asking for a fatwa, you know, to get out of fasting because they can't stop smoking cigarettes. You know, Ramadan ain't even here yet, and people coming up with excuses. So those pillars must be fulfilled. If you are not fulfilling those pillars, guess what? You're not considered a Muslim. Those 5 pillars of Islam are what keep us in the circle of Islam. Y'all understand that? You got to get those prayers together. You cannot associate partners with Allah. You got to fast Ramadan. Okay? And these actions of worship give a foundation for us to live a good and righteous life. And we thank Allah for that. You know, I had somebody ask me just recently, Laila, you were born and raised in America all your life. Were you ever tempted to have a boyfriend? I was asked this question just recently. Were you ever tempted to have sex, you know, to date? I mean, I've been single now for 25 years. They were like, you know, have you ever considered, you know, wanted to just, you know, became weak? No, I keep myself strong. I keep myself busy. Number one, I make my prayers every day. And those prayers strengthen me. I have a connection with my Lord. I talk to Allah. I live alone, but I talk to Allah all the time. Okay? And I fear him. I fear him. One thing about my mother, she did put some fear in my heart. She made me fear death. She made me fear the punishment of the grave. So I'm afraid. I'm too scared to commit a sin like that. I'm too afraid. I think that if I go out the house without a hijab on, a lightning bolt's going to strike my head off. I'm afraid that if I had a boyfriend or was out there having sex, that a car would run me over. You know, subhanAllah, the actions of worship offer a foundation. You know, I've always prayed my prayers. I always fast Ramadan. Plus, I'm always on this internet giving dawah. As Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, said, remembrance of Allah keeps the heart from giving in to the desires of the soul. I spend most of my time on this internet teaching or doing videos. I don't have time for the nonsense. Okay? So the actions of worship, those 5 pillars of Islam, they give us the foundation we need to live a good and righteous life, because they put that fear of Allah in our hearts and makes us control our soul. But again, we live in America, and this is a fast-paced, chaotic, modern world. I had to work. You guys know I just retired 3 years ago. My students here, y'all remember me doing my lectures from work? I used to work 16 hours every day, but I still did my classes. I used to work a third and first shift. That's why my classes always start either at 4 o'clock or at 6:30. I could get home and still be on this internet doing my classes, and I get up and go back to work the third shift again. I worked 16 hours a day, but I still taught my classes. I still made my prayers. I still fasted Ramadan. I still fulfilled my obligations to Allah. But a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people don't do that. It ain't that they can't. They don't. They say it's difficult to find the time and the mental clarity to fulfill their obligations. Well, that's because they're weak. You know, when your faith has not been established in your heart, you know, you're not strong, you're weak. You give in to your desires and you want to go back to that lifestyle that you had where you didn't have those type of obligations. But as now that you're a Muslim, you have to try to balance the demands of the outside world. You have to balance the demands of school for the kids here. You know, you're trying to go to school to get an education. Okay, you have to still find the time to take a break and raise your hand in class and say, I need to go to the bathroom, and find a place to go pray. Okay, if you're fasting Ramadan and other kids are eating, you're going to have to find the strength to not want to do what they're doing. So there's no excuse to get out of our obligations to Allah. And I'm saying this not just to the kids, but to the new shahadas too, because from the emails I get all the time, you're looking for an excuse to get out of your obligations. There is no excuse. You're a Muslim. Allah says just because you say you believe in me is not enough. Prove it now. You got to make the sacrifices like the rest of us do. Prove that you embrace this way of life because you wanted to get close to Allah. And again, who should be your role model? And I want the Muslim youth to listen to me. You kids, listen to me. These social media influencers are not your role models. None of you should take any of these men off of YouTube as your role model. Nor should you girls take any of those women off of YouTube as your role model. Your role model should be the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and also his companions, because Allah says that they are the best of this nation and they were the most perfect in their faith. Not anybody on a social dawah media today. And when you look at the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you can see that despite his position as a leader, as a teacher, and a politician, he was noted for his dedication to Allah first and foremost. Like I tell the sisters here, the Prophet Muhammad chose to be poor. He wasn't poor because he was a poor man. No, he gave his stuff away. He wasn't poor like that. And none of his wives were hood rats either. The Prophet Muhammad didn't marry a hood rat. Okay, all of his wives came from wealthy families. Aisha, Abu Bakr was very wealthy. Hafsa, Umar was wealthy. Zainab came from a wealthy family. Salama, wealthy family. Khadijah, the wealthiest family. None of his wives were poor. But when he married them, anytime the prophet got married, he had one condition. And most Muslims don't know this. He had one condition. Before he married any woman, he asked her, are you willing to shun the good things in this world for the good things in the hereafter? And they would say, what do you mean? He'd say, I am a messenger of Allah, sent to be an example for the people. He said, you're gonna have to detach from this world. He said, I know you guys are used to coming from a nice lifestyle, but you're gonna have to sacrifice it, because how can I call the people to the simplicity of Islam if I am myself a hypocrite attached to this dunya? So every wife the prophet married made that choice. Yes, we will give up our love for the things in this world to be with you, to be the mothers of the believers in the hereafter. So that's the first sacrifice that every wife the prophet married made. They sacrificed their love for the nice things in this world. How many of you girls do that? How many of you women are willing to do that for Allah? Okay. So when we look at him and his wives, we see that they put Allah first and foremost. Just like when Aisha, radiallahu anha, was slandered by the people, the Prophet Muhammad couldn't defend her because it would put him in a bad situation. They would accuse him of being biased. So he had to wait for Allah to send down the verses of the Quran to defend her. And that was hard for him to hold back like that, because that was his wife. What man likes his woman to be slandered? But he had to practice self-restraint. And then and Aisha went through some issues too, because her thing was, what woman doesn't want to be championed by her husband? She knew that the prophet couldn't defend her. She knew the predicament he was in. So she was patient with waiting on Allah. But of course, she's a female. Every woman wants their man to defend them. So finally, when Allah sent down the verses of the Quran saying that Aisha was innocent of the slander they put against her, her father and her mother told her, thank the Prophet Muhammad. And respectfully, she said, no, why should I thank him? She said, he didn't defend me. He couldn't. He didn't approve my innocence. He couldn't. She said, Allah vindicated me and Allah proved my innocence. She said, so I am going to go and make 2 rakats to thank my Lord. And when she turned to walk away, her father said something, and the prophet laughed. He said, let her go. He said, she is the daughter of As-Siddiq, saying that she's correct. She sees the truth. She's right. You know, she knew how to separate husband from Allah. She knew how to separate her love for her husband. The average woman would have thanked their husband. Oh, thank you. No, when he didn't do anything, it was Allah who sent down her vindication. So those women, those men are our examples, you know, because they had that correct balance. They knew how to balance their relationship with Allah from this dunya, even within their personal relationships. And again, none of them ever failed to observe their religious obligations. Even in times of war, When they were fighting, they still prayed their prayers. And they even fought during the month of Ramadan. They were fasting when they fought one of the battles during the month of Ramadan, subhanAllah. And also look at our Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Despite all the things he had to deal with, he still got up every morning before Fajr to pray the tahajjud. How many of us do that? When we're faced with a hardship in life, many of us stop praying. We stop doing our good deeds. And also, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't just wait to Ramadan to fast. He used to fast other days of the week too, because he understood that fasting is a way of sacrificing for Allah. This is the way that we show our love for Allah, by letting go of those things we love temporarily for a few hours to worship Allah. How many of us do that today? So again, guys, if you want to keep a good relationship with Allah, and you want Allah to take away the calamities that you're faced with in your life, you have to prioritize and fulfill your religious obligations. This war that's going on, why did Allah send it? Because we ain't fulfilling our religious obligations and responsibilities. Why is Allah having fires and earthquakes and tidal waves hit the Muslims and other parts of the world? Because we're not prioritizing and completing our religious obligations. But if we learned about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, learned about his life, learned about his companions, they can motivate us. And in turn, we could become better Muslims with a better relationship with Allah, and then Allah would take away some of these hardships. So now, let me ask this one question for the kids. Who can tell me what are the 5 pillars of faith? Who can name all the 5 pillars of faith, kids? Who would like to try it? Are the kids in there? I hope y'all didn't mute the room. Hello, moderators.
Yes.
Okay. Why come nobody's answering?
I don't know.
Oh. Name somebody's name, because I can't see. Okay. Oh, there's Shuaib.
Okay,
Go.
yeah.
Brother Shuaib, go ahead.
Belief in Allah, belief in the angels, belief in the decree of Allah, belief in the prophets.
MashaAllah. This is my Shuaib from Somalia. My little Somalian, my curly head Somali. Did he list the 5 pillars of faith? What do you think, Amalia?
He needs one more. Wait. So he said prophets, belief in the angels, the day of the judgment, his angels.
Okay, there's Amalia, Princess Amalia. Did she list the 5 pillars of faith? Anybody, what do y'all think? What did she and Shuaib list the 5 pillars of faith? What do you think? Sabrina, go ahead.
I think it's the 6 pillars of faith, isn't it? So isn't it Allah, his prophet, Qadr, his books, his angels, and the day of judgment?
Yes, you guys caught. I'm so proud of y'all. Do you see how these kids think? Brother Amir, who's one of my new shahadas, the question is the 5 pillars of faith. What's wrong with this question? See how y'all can learn from the kids? Like Sabrina.
There's another pillar besides faith.
Go ahead.
Like the Hajj, Zakat, and Ramadan. There's more pillars.
Right. Those are the pillars of Islam. Y'all caught the word. See, these kids, their fitra is lit. This question is asking about the 5 pillars of faith. There are no 5 pillars of faith. We have 6 pillars of faith, as Sister Sabrina said. But we do have 5 pillars of Islam. Instead of writing faith, Islam, I have faith here. And what they did was list the pillars of faith, which are 6, which is belief in Allah, belief in his angels, belief in his prophets, belief in his books, belief in the predestiny, and belief in the day of judgment. So that's why the new shahadas, your answer doesn't match theirs. They caught the word game I do. I'm going to always switch words up like that, so you guys can be on your toes about your faith. Good job, Shuaib. Good job, Amalia. Good job, Sabrina. And the last person that answered, she gave you the 5 pillars of Islam. The 5 pillars of Islam is the Shahada, the prayers, Ramadan. Yes, you got it. Yeah, Zakat. Yes, you got it. Now they get it. All the adults are saying now they get it. Yeah, see, these kids are good. Yeah, my Sunnah follower kids are good, man. You caught it now. They're all saying good job to y'all too, because they didn't catch it. Yeah, those are my kids. They know. Okay, what about this? This question ain't tricky, though. I didn't put another tricky one. Hold on. I'm going to always throw in one tricky question to make sure y'all listening, paying attention, and reading, because we have to work on reading comprehension. Okay, what about this one? This one won't be tricky, inshallah. Here we go. What are some things that can cause you to forget to pray or forget that you are fasting? Give me an example of a distraction from this world that can distract you from doing your obligations. Go ahead, Amalia.
Hunger, but there's another thing I wanted to say.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so like when I'm fasting, I have a really nice library teacher who lets me stay for recess or lunch. She's that, like, because people are fasting, she kind of knows about our religion a little bit.
Mashallah, you guys see that? This is what what the kids came up with. When like she said, when she's fasting during Ramadan, when the other kids are on lunch break, they let her come to the library so she doesn't have to watch the other kids eating, because that's a distraction. That's something that can interfere, because your personal jinn can try to get you to break your fast because the other kids are eating. So what she does is every Ramadan, she goes to the library. They've given her permission to come to the library. And that's what I used to do too. When I was growing up and it was Ramadan, I wouldn't go to the lunchroom. I'd go to the library, and read a book or write something. I was always on the newspaper. I always was a writer. So I would go work on the high school or newspaper or something. Good job, Amalia. Sister Nia, what's something else that could cause you to forget or distract you from your obligations to Allah? Go ahead.
Traveling or working.
Exactly. That's when we are tested as adults. But we're going to talk about that. When it comes to traveling, Allah has made an exception. You don't have to fast when you travel. So I want the adults to remember, I'm going to go over that. I'm going to do the Ramadan prep series in a week or so. When we're traveling, we don't have to fast, but work always we get so caught up in our work that we forget to pray. We get caught up in our work, that we forget that we're fasting. Good job. Okay, Sister Nora, what are some other things that can cause you to forget to pray or forget that you're fasting or something?
Spending time on the internet.
Wow, that's the number one answer. This is why we're going to have to balance. We're going to have to balance ourselves, okay, where you don't want to waste your time spending too much time on Twitch gaming or too much time on the internet, looking at stuff on the internet. You're going to have to balance your time out. And also, people forget to pray. Why did you forget to pray? Oh, I was reading something on the internet. Why did you forget to pray? I was watching something on the internet. We have to be careful of the internet. There's good in the internet, but there's a lot of evil in it too. It can be very distracting for us when it comes to our obligations to Allah. Okay, Sister Precious Kids, what are some more things that can cause you to forget your obligations to Allah? Precious Kids, go ahead. They got an answer?
Sometimes you have feeling and you feel like you don't want to pray and your mom sees this. So sometimes your parents will just talk to you and they will tell you that you have to pray because it's dangerous.
Exactly. That's battling against our personal jinn. Good answer. Our personal jinn. He'll try to make us lazy and make us not want to pray. So we're going to have to learn to say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and not listen to that jinn who tells us that's okay. You ain't got to pray. We got to learn how to fight him. And we're going to talk about how to fight against that personal jinn. Yes. Any other answers from Precious Kids?
When you get distracted on the game and when you want to pray, but you really get distracted a lot.
Exactly. That's why we're going to have to let those games go. You know what time the prayer comes in? When it's time to pray, you got to put that Xbox down and go make your little 5-minute prayer, and then you can come back. Exactly. Okay, so mashallah, those are a lot of the things that, as we said, the dunya, this world, stands in our way of prayer. And so now what I want to do, guys, this is the book. I want everybody to take a look at this. This is how the book looks. When you go to Amazon to buy this book by Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli, this is his newest book. It's called He Was. This is how it looks. And it's only $7 on Amazon. And today we're just going to do the first two pages, which are 2 hadiths that speak about how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam looked, because it's hard to love someone that you've never seen, that you've never touched. So that's why, in order to develop a love for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we need to learn more about him. So let's talk about his appearance. Okay. First of all, Anas ibn Malik. And who was Anas ibn Malik? He was the nephew of one of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wives. So he was his nephew by marriage, and he was also his water boy, okay? And he used to come and visit with his aunt and stay with his aunt. And so that's why he got so close to the prophet and learned from the prophet. He became one of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam students. Anas tells us that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the most best of person. He was the best amongst the people in his character and everything. In other words, he was so nice. Anas loved staying with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He loved spending time over his house. And also, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was good looking. He was not ugly. A lot of people want to know, how did the Prophet look? He was good looking. Okay? We have this hadith, whereas one of the companions said, when I met the Prophet and greeted him, his face was so happy, because whenever the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was happy, his face would glitter, his face would shine as if it were the moon. And we could tell that he was happy because his face would just become so bright. So for those of you who don't know, the Prophet Muhammad wore his emotions on his sleeve. That's an old Arabic saying. You could tell if he was happy because his face would just become, you know how some people get so happy, their face just shines, their eyes twinkle and all of that. So, and also if he got mad, they knew it too. Because when he got angry, you could look at his face, because his face would turn red and he'd get a frown on his face and all of that. So subhanallah, you know, you could look at his face, you know, and tell if he was happy with you or not. Okay. Also, another one of the companions tells us that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very handsome and he had a good disposition. How did he look? He was not tall, nor was he short. He was of medium height. I would say that the Prophet was probably medium height today. For a man would be about 5'8", 5'9". He was of medium height. And also for you guys, a lot of you asked what color he was. He wasn't dark in color, nor was he white in color. He had a light color, typical Arabic color, like most Arabs. He wasn't dark in color, nor was he white. He had that, maybe he was my color, maybe my complexion. He probably was the complexion I am. He also had dark eyebrows. He had dark eyebrows. He also had big dark eyes with long eyelashes. They say his eyelashes were so long that when he looked down, you could see the lashes looked like they were on his cheeks. He had long eyelashes. And also, it looked like his eyelashes were so thick that it looked like he had kohol on, like I have on. But he didn't. He just had thick, you know, long eyelashes. He also had a keen nose. A keen nose, like a lot of my Somali sisters have, and my Somali brothers. A lot of you Somalis have that keen nose. And he also had a high forehead. He had a high forehead like I got, and like many of you have. Okay? He was very handsome. He had big feet. He had big hands. Big feet, big hands. He had a broad chest. His chest was broad. He didn't lift weights, but his chest was broad. He was strong. Okay? And he was very humble. Very humble. He didn't go around thinking he was better than others, nor less than others, or any of that. He was kind, sweet, gentle. You know, all the prophets. Remember, Allah tells us in the Quran that the prophets were the best of man. Allah chose the best of mankind to be the prophets. They were better than you and me, all of them. They were better in character and morality than us. One of the reasons being is because Allah purified their jinn. The jinn that was assigned to the prophets of Allah, their jinns were Muslim. So they weren't tempted to do things like we are. And also, the Prophet Muhammad loved to look nice. He was clean. He took care of himself. His hair came down to his shoulders. Sometimes he would cut it shorter. His hair was not curly, nor was his hair straight. His hair was wavy. He had wavy dark hair. Wavy dark hair. He also had a beard, a nice full beard that came around the sides, and he had a mustache that he would trim. Okay? And he liked to look nice and clean. We have this hadith where one of the companions said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was of medium height, and I saw him wearing a red suit, and I did not see anything better than that. So I put this hadith here too, because one of the brothers asked me, is it haram to wear red? The Prophet Muhammad loved the color red. You men can wear red. The Prophet had a red suit. He had a red tent. He had a red cloak. He liked to look nice. And whenever he would entertain guests or other diplomats, he made sure that he looked his best. Okay? So we learn from these hadiths that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's physical appearance was such that it attracted the people to come and learn about Islam. And we have to remember, anytime you walk out the house, when you go to school, when you go to work, that's dawah. Dawah is not running your mouth. Dawah is not your tongue. Dawah is given through your actions and behavior. The fact that you're clean, that you dress nice, your clothes are matching all the time. Okay? And the way you speak, respectfully to others. This is how you make people attract to you and want to learn about you. And also, the Prophet Muhammad, even though he shunned the luxuries of this world, he wasn't poorly poor either. He wasn't no vagabond either. He followed the middle course in everything, including his physical appearance. He didn't go around wearing no gaudy, expensive thobes. He took the middle course. And also, his manners helped people to accept Islam. His manners made people want to follow him. And also, we learned that as Muslims, we should make sure that we take care of our appearance too, especially when you leave the house. And this is for the women too. The world already has a bad view of Muslim women. They think that we are depraved, and oppressed. Well, none of that is true. When you leave the house, make sure that you dress nice, that you're matching, that your kimar is the way Allah said, where it covers your bosom. You don't want to look like a bag woman. You don't want to look like a vagrant. Allah loves beauty. He doesn't like ugliness. And also, we learn from these hadiths that as Muslims, we should pray to Allah to help us to adapt the same good manners that our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had. So, those are the first two hadiths. Next week in this class, we're going to continue speaking more about the Prophet Muhammad's appearance